Alright, so today we're taking a look at this test review. Now, the way this should be handled in class is that you should be given about 5 minutes to do all the problems you see, and then you can double check them. And what else you need to do is to be looking at where you make your mistakes and writing those down. Those are going to be handed in at the end of class. So you need to work on the problems, do them, get an answer, then they'll watch the substitute will show that portion of the video, and then you need to put down what you did wrong on a piece of paper, so you'll need an extra sheet of paper out, and that's what you're going to hand in to get credit for today. And then you'll take the test home, you can study it, and when I said test I meant review. You can take that home, study it, and then be ready for the test on Thursday. So you need 2 pieces of paper, this review and a blank sheet of paper with your name on it, and you'll number each one and write down what you did incorrectly on those. So make sure we pause the video in about 5 minutes to do these 4 problems. Alright, so hopefully you've got them all done. So let's take a look at what our answers would be. So we're just simply solving equations, which means we're getting a variable by itself. So it's always a good idea to see what's happening to that variable. So on number 1, we've got p. First you times by a -7, then you would add a -7 or subtract 7. We're going backwards, doing the opposite, so we're going to add 7, then divide by a -7 to get our answer. So we add 7 to both sides. That would give us 140 equals, that cancels out, -7p, so we did that step. Now we're going to divide by -7, and we get p equals -20. So look at where you made your mistake. If any, if not, put you got it correct on that extra sheet of paper. If you did make a mistake, write down where you made that mistake and then fix it on your paper. Okay, number 2. So we've got n divided by 4 plus 3 equals 5. So first we would divide 4 from n, and then we'd add 3. We're going backwards and doing the opposite, so we'd subtract 3 and times by 4. So 5 equals n divided by 4 plus 3. So we start off by subtracting 3 from both sides. We get n divided by 4 equals 5 minus 3 is 2. Times both sides by 4. Those 4's cancel, leaving us with n equals 8. Once again, if you made any mistakes on that sheet of paper, write it down. If you didn't, put you got it correct. You followed the proper steps. Number 3. A few ways you can do this. First one would be to just distribute the -6 through to simplify that right side. Because we're simplifying it, we don't have to do anything to the left. So -42 plus -24x. So we'd add 42 to both sides. So it'd be -90, kind of like minus 42. So it'd give us 8. So -48 equals -24x. Then divide by -24. And we'd get positive 2 equals x. Okay, number 4. So we've got distribute first to simplify. -3 times 3. So we've got 30 minus 5n equals -9n. And then -3 times -2 plus 6 plus n. So I'm going to combine these n's first. They're like terms. They're on the same side. That's like a 1. So -9 plus 1 would be -8n plus 6 equals 30 minus 5n. Now I want to get the n's on the same side, so I could add 8n to both sides. Those would cancel, leaving us with 6. -5 plus 8 would give us a positive 3n. So it would be 30 plus 3n minus 30 to both sides. We get 3n equals -24 divided by 3, and n equals -8. So once again, if you made any mistakes on that piece of paper, copy it down, what you did wrong, write those mistakes, change them on your paper so you can actually study with something that's correct. Okay, so now, just a couple minutes for these two, probably don't need a full 5. So go, hit pause on the video, go on these ones, so you're just correcting the mistake. Alright, so hopefully you found those mistakes. Okay, number 5. These two are on the same side, so you don't have to do the opposite. We only do the opposite when we're trying to undo something, not combining it. So that's where they made their mistake right there. Okay, so we would instead go 3x plus 2x to give us 5x minus 6 equals 24. Add 6 to both sides, and you get 5x equals 30, divided by 5, and x equals 6. On number 6, they distributed that to get 6x plus 3, and then you have the plus 4. But then they combined this 3 with this 6x. 3 doesn't have an x, so you can't do that. Okay, so that's where they made their mistake, right there. Instead, you combine those two. So you'd actually end up with 6x plus 7 equals 10. Then subtract 7, you get 6x equals 3 divided by 6, and x equals 3/6, which reduces to 1/2, or 0.5. Alright, make sure those mistakes you're making, that you're writing those down on that piece of paper that will be handed in. Okay, hit pause on it. Solve these ones out. Alright, let's go. So now we're providing some justifications for each step. So this first one, okay, remember we're solving it still, so what did we do to k? We times by 9, then subtracted 5. So we're going to add 5, then divide by 9. So first I'd start off by adding 5 to both sides. That would cancel and become 0 plus 9k equals 180. Now why can we add 5 to both sides? Well, we add 5 to eliminate negative 5 on left side, and because we change it, we do the same on right side. Now, this adding 0 does nothing, so plus 0 does nothing, so we can get rid of it. Okay, so we'd end up with 9k equals 180. So we did that step, now we got to divide both sides by 9. We end up with k equals 180 divided by 9 is 20. So why can we divide by 9? Well, kind of the same reason up here. Okay, except we're going to say we divide by 9 to get k all by itself, to make that equivalent equation. And then we can do the same on the right side because we are actually changing it. Okay, so there's that one. So make sure you've got it down. Ask the substitute to pause if you need to. I'm going to move on to number 8. There we go. Okay, so first thing we can do is distribute to get 16 minus 2x equals 2 times 1 is 2, plus 2 times 6x, 12x. Now, we didn't change both sides, we just simplified using distribution. So, then we can add a 2x to both sides. Okay, add 2x to both to eliminate negative 2x and put like terms together. That becomes 0, which we know does nothing, so we're left with 16 equals 2 plus 14x. Subtract 2 from both sides. We get 14 equals 14x, so we subtracted 2 to eliminate 2 both sides to maintain that equality. Last step, dividing by 14 from both sides, that becomes 1, so we get x equals 1. So that last step was, divide by 14 to eliminate the 14 with the x, and we can do it on both sides. So a lot of those steps are kind of repetitive, and we're doing pretty much the same thing to them. Alrighty. So now we're going to take a look at some inequalities. And the thing to remember about inequalities is you solve them the same except when you multiply or divide by a negative number, right? Then we have to reverse the inequality sign. So the greater than or less than switches. Okay, other than that, we treat it just like an equation. So take about 5 minutes on these 4 problems. Alright, so you should have had enough time with that. So number 9, we're still dealing with an inequality. What did we do to n? We divided by 3, then added 8. So we go backwards. We subtract 8 times by 3. So subtract 8 from both sides. 3 minus 8 is negative 5 is greater than n divided by 3. Now we're times them by a positive 3, so we don't have to change anything. We get negative 15 is greater than n. Number 10, same idea. Okay, what are we doing to v? So we'd subtract, we would times by a negative 3, then subtract 5. So we're going backwards. We'd add 5, divide by a negative 3. Now notice, right there we're doing this, so we're going to have to reverse that inequality. So we start out by adding 5 to both sides. Those cancel. Negative 3v is greater than negative 50 plus 5 is negative 45. Then divide by that negative 3, so we get a positive 15. That cancels, we get a v, but instead of less than, we change that to greater than. That's where we make the difference. So those mistakes you're making, make sure you're writing down on that piece of paper with your name on it. That's what you're going to be handing in today. Okay, the next one. So we start off by adding 4 to both sides to get rid of that. That eliminates. We're left with 3m. And negative 52 plus 4 would be a negative 48. It's greater than or equal to 3m. Divide by 3. And we divide it by a positive 3, so our inequality stays. Negative 48 divided by 3 would be negative 16. Number 12, we've got the variables on the same side, so we start off by getting them on the same side, because they're on different sides. So that eliminates, we're left with 13. 3 plus 4 minus 2 is 2b. Subtract 3, we get 2b is less than or equal to 10. Divide by positive 2, so b is less than or equal to 5. So there we go with those type of problems. Now the next ones are just still solving, just dealing with solving with more than one variable. So take about 5 minutes, do these problems. Alright, so 13 we're solving for a, so we want to get a by itself. Well, what's happening to a? We're dividing by L times W. So we need to get rid of this L times W. So we times by L and W. Those cancel, we're left with A equals H times L times W. 14, we want to get Y by itself. So Y is right there, we've got to get rid of that 7x. So subtract 7x from both sides. Those cancel, we get Y equals. Now 7 and this 7x we can't combine, so just write it. Minus 7x plus 7. You could have even written it as 7 minus 7x. Same thing. Okay, number 15, same idea, solving for y. So we start off by subtracting by 8x on both sides. We get 3y equals negative 8x minus 21. Then we got to divide everything by 3. So we get y equals negative 8 divided by 3x minus 7. Because 21 divided by 3 is 7. Now you could change that to a decimal if you really wanted to, but you don't have to. Okay, now 16, we're solving for h. So with this formula first, I would want to get rid of this 1/2, so we times by 2 on both sides. 2 times 1/2 would get rid of 1/2, so we got b times h, and we simplify that to 2a. Then we divide by b, so you get 2 times a divided by b equals h. And there we go. Make sure you guys are writing down those mistakes you're making, paying attention to those. Alright, now kind of some review. Sketching graphs, slope-intercept form. Remember y equals mx plus b. B is your y-intercept, m is your slope. Take a couple minutes, do these two. Okay, so y-intercept of plus 5, I go up to positive 5, draw my point, slope of negative 5/2. Negative 5 divided by 2, down 5 to the right 2. So down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right 1, 2. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right 2. And there is our graph. Simple as that, guys. Just take that y-intercept on the y-axis, put it there, get rid of that. Look at your slope. This top number tells you to go up or down. It's positive, so we go up 5, to the right 3. Now we ran out of paper, so we can also go the opposite, down and to the left. So down 5 and to the left. End up with a line like right there. Okay? So, not too bad, should be more review there. Okay, now 19 is solving a standard form equation. But if you think about the problems we just did, change it to slope-intercept and then graph. Okay, creating a table from the equation. Okay, that's something else it's been a while since we've done. But we can do the same idea. Okay, so take a few minutes, do those. So, on number 19, I'd start out by subtracting 4x from both sides to get 5y equals negative 4x plus 20. Then divide by 5. Those cancel, we're left with y equals negative 4/5 x plus 4. So up to positive 4, graph it. Negative 4/5, down 4, to the right 5. Graph it, good enough for me. Draw that line. You could have also solved by making x 0, solving for y. That would have got you this number. Making y 0, solving for x. That would have got you that number. Same idea. Okay, now with the table. Remember, with the table, label your x and your y, and then you can pick some x's. Or you could pick some y's, then you plug them in. So 2 times negative 2 for x plus 3y equals negative 6. So that becomes negative 4 plus 3y equals negative 6. So add 4 to both sides. We're still solving just like we have been. Divide by 3, we get y equals negative 2/3. Okay, not the nicest, but it works. Okay, and then we can keep going. So we can do it for negative 1. 2 times negative 1 plus 3y equals negative 6. So we get negative 2 plus 3y equals negative 6. Add 2 to both sides. We get 3y equals negative 4. Divide by 3. We get y equals negative 4/3, which negative 1 1/3, or negative 1.666, or 33333. I'm going to write negative 4/3. Okay, then we do it for 0, and we're looking for that pattern, right? These numbers are kind of tougher to look at for a pattern, aren't they? So 2 times 0 plus 3y equals negative 6. So 3y equals negative 6 because that cancels. Divide by 3. We get y equals negative 2. Okay, so that one's kind of tougher to take a look at, isn't it? So it looks like we're dealing with subtracting adding 2/3, or no, yeah, adding 2/3 probably is what's going on. For you guys, that might be hard to think through. So think about those numbers that are going to help out. Okay, like 3. counting by threes. 2 times 3 would give us 6, plus 3y equals negative 6. So subtract 6, we get 3y equals negative 12. Divide by 3, we get y equals negative 4. Okay? So, honestly, you'd probably want to change your table and just go by threes instead. That would be an easier way to do it, because that's going to get you easier numbers to deal with. Okay, because if we did 6, 2 times 6 would be 12, subtract 12, that would be negative 18, divided by 3 would be negative 6. So that would be negative 8, that would be negative 10, and so on. So that's easier numbers to deal with than these guys, right? So there we go. Alright, now 21, you're writing a table, a graph, and an equation from that story problem. So it'll take 5 minutes to do that. Here we go. So Flechter has been bugging his parents to go to a birthday party at Classic Boone. He's been asking for 20 years. Finally, his parents consent. The cost of a birthday party at Classic Boone is $200 plus $4 per person. So what's the connection? Well, hopefully the cost and per person, because that's going to affect the cost. So how many people are coming and the cost. You could even call that X and Y. So I'd label that people or X and cost or Y. Well, if nobody comes to his party, it's still going to cost $200. So if one person comes, we're adding $4 to that, right? So it'd be 204. 2 people, 208. 3 people, 212. 4 people, 216. And you see kind of the pattern that's going on here, right? So on our graph, we could just label this, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here, we could decide to start at 200 or something like that. Okay, however you wanted to do it. If you do decide to start clear up at 200, you're supposed to draw a little line here telling you that there's a lot more space in here. So we could say 200, 201, 202, 204, and so on. So at 0 we have 200, at 1, 204, and then we go up to, actually, my 200 should be down one more, huh? About 200 right there. That'd be 208, 212, 16, and so on. So my graph would look something like that. Now my equation, we can go recursive or explicit. If we did recursive, I'd go f of x equals f of x minus 1, because we always do that. And my pattern is plus 4. And where did we start? We started at 200. There's my recursive. For my explicit, I'd go, see, we used y, so we could go y equals, where did we start? At 200, because that's where it was 0. What did we do to that? Added 4. How many times? X number of times, because we kept going. So I could rewrite that as 4x plus 200 as well. Either one of those would work. Okay, now, notice we have two 23s, so these ones are getting more in-depth thinking, okay? You have to look at the pattern, find the pattern, and use that to help you out. So take 5 minutes on each one of them probably, and so here we go. So I'm running out of time on my video, and we got about 6 minutes. I'm going to try to go a little quick. So design 1, we had 5 white tiles, then 5 plus the 4, so 9, then 9, right, plus the 4, so 13. So how many would we get at design 50? Okay, well, that's going to be tough, so I want to write an expression that would help me calculate the number of tiles in design n. So I could do a recursive, f of n equals f of n minus 1, and I'm adding, 4 tiles each time, and my first design was at 5, but that's not really going to help me, is it? Okay. Same reason I don't want to sit here and make a table out till I get to 50. We need to connect the input with the output. So to do that, we need to drop back to 0. So that would be 1. If we had, the design 0, that would be 1. So my equation would be f of n equals my starting number, 1, plus 4n, because we keep adding n's. For design 50, I would then go 1 plus 4 times n. Well, 50 I should say. Right? So 4 times 50 would be 200 plus 1, 201 tiles. Okay? So it says the white tiles are expensive marble tile. You cannot afford to buy more than 100 tiles. What is the largest design you can afford? Okay, so, well, think about it. I'm going to 100 tiles, right? So we want to figure out, on this side, we can't go bigger than 100. Okay? So kind of, if you think about it, an inequality would be a great thing to do here, because 100 is going to be the greatest, or equal, because it said I can't buy more than 100, and R1 plus 4n. So now I'm solving it, going backwards to figure it out. So I get 99 is greater than or equal to 4n. Divide by 4. That's not going to be an even number, is it? So I get n. So 99 divided by 4. 4 goes into 9 twice. 8, 19 goes into a 4. 16. That'd be 30. Bring down a 0. That'd be 7. So about 24.7. So the most I could buy would be 24 tiles. Because you can't buy a partial tile. Well, you could, but that makes no sense. Okay. Pause it, take a few minutes, try another one. Okay, so how many stairs would you have in step 15? Well, let's make a table of this. So step 1, we have 3. Step 2, we have 5. Step 3, we have 7. Step 4, we have 9, right? So if we went back to 0, we'd have 1. So we're adding 2 each time. Okay. Now, could I keep adding 2 to get up to 15? Yeah, of course I could. Okay. So let's think about that equation. So I could go f of n equals 1, my starting number, plus 2n. Okay, so I had a friend had a total of 101 bricks. Well, how far did he go? Well, you put that in as your output, and then you solve your equation. Subtract 1, you have 100 equals 2n, divide by 2. So he got to 50, step 50. Okay, how would we figure out step 15? We'll just plug 15 into our equation. 2 times 15 is 30, plus 1 would give us 31. Okay, so having that explicit equation is a great way to do these. Alright, now this last problem, take a few minutes, puzzle over that, try to figure out where the pieces are, what each one means. Okay? Alright, so we've got about a minute and a half. So where does this all tie in? Well, 6n. Well, 6 is the number of sides we have here, right? So that's number of sides per hexagon. Because step 2, I have 2 hexagons. Step 3, I have 3 hexagons. Okay? So now, what's this minus 2 and minus 1? Well, when we join 2 hexagons together, we're not, we've got one side there, but we're getting rid of both those sides. Okay? So they're joining together and eliminating the 2 sides. But the number of sides is back 1 step. So this has 2 of these. Back 1 step is 2. 1 of these, back 1 step is 1. If I did 4 hexagons together, you would go back and you'd have 3 middle spots. So that's where that part comes. It's the middle lines. Alright, so we have a test next time. Make sure you guys hand in that paper, writing down where you made all your mistakes. You'll hand that in today. Take this home, watch this video again if you need to double check anything. study up and be ready for the test next time. Alright, see you guys later. Good luck.